All right, cool. So I'm not a lawyer, so I won't, try to give you advice that I don't think I'm capable of giving or have the experience for. But I do think I can add a little bit of value on the marketing strategy side, right? And the first thing I would recommend in this pursuit is test things, right? Don't go in thinking it's going to be a big hit or it's not going to work at all, right? And my philosophy on this and what I preach to lawyers, especially those who are in kind of startup mode or trying to figure things out, is to test often and make sure it's tracked. So the best thing you can do if you are interested in this and you think there's legs to it is to create a test, set up those test details at the beginning, and those details for me would be what's the theory, right? And you're just writing it down on a piece of paper, just somewhere to kind of track this, like a spreadsheet. Don't have to do anything super, and in fact I would say just do most whatever's the simplest way to track this for you. But put this information in there because it's very easy to get started, and then after the fact you are looking, you want to get this information and wish you'd kind of gone through this, and then you're not set up from the beginning. So the fact that you're looking into like tracking and all this stuff is great, and keep going in that direction. The other thing you want to look like is like what would success look like, right? And so you can then start to figure out a rough budget for this, right? What is the cost of the print? Okay, how many calls does it take for me to get a sale and or get a new client? And what do I think this might produce? What would be, how much is my client value? So then you start to think about, okay, this is the advertising cost, additional cost for the receptionist or other tools that you might need, the call number, all that stuff should be mostly cheap, but definitely factor it in so you have your all-in cost per acquisition, and then figure out how many you need to close, right? If you are a high ticket type of well, I mean, you're PI, so yeah, I mean, you're potentially could get a huge case, but I think those are often more rare, right? And so you're probably looking at like a $10,000 average case value, maybe a little bit more, or depending on what you actually do in the market. But let's just say it's about $10,000. So you need to figure out or think about, okay, I need potentially to get 10 calls from this to convert one case, or I'm really good at sales, I'm going to convert 30% or 50%. So is it realistic that I might get 10 calls from this? And you may not know that until you actually put money down on it, but at least you now have a baseline understanding of what needs to happen in order for this to be considered a success. So if you do that, then the second part, I would say that some of the messaging is I'm not going to say it's irrelevant, but if you don't get this part right, then everything else is not worth it, right? So I will defer to other attorneys, who have actually done this before to give you their opinion on the messaging and stuff like that. But as far as part two for tracking and operationally, what you need to think about, what I would do is I would set up a Ring Central account, and I like that because they offer transcription. They save they have all the tracking information already plugged in. It's pretty popular among law firms, and it can do call forwarding, it can do all of that stuff, and I think it's pretty reasonably priced as well. The next thing I would do is create a one-page website and add that tracking number to the one-page website. Put that tracking number in the ad, and the one-page website, you should buy a domain and whatever you just want something that's recognizable, right? And so if you have like a little hook or some sort of specific thing you like pushing, make that the domain name. So my 30% lawyer, 20% lawyer, best autoaccidentsnow.com or whatever. And you're doing this for two reasons. Number one, it makes it very easy to find rather than go to the firm's website. And I think you wanted to, keep it separate anyway. So, don't go to the firm's website slash, attorneys slash Marvin Jefferson, whatever. It's like, too much. Make it really simple. Put a QR code on it as well to make it even simpler, right? All of that stuff is very easily doable now with like ChatGPT, or you can just search, make me a QR code and link to that. Use Wix. You could do it on Manus. You could do it on Claude, where you just literally are asking it to make a one-page website with that call number. And then you have your home base, essentially where to direct all of this traffic. You can put your email on there too. Next, you want to make a standardized list of intake questions. So this is essentially like your discovery call. And, I'm sure you already have this, very familiar with this in your existing PI practice. So you could just take that. And then I would hire a pay per minute intake service, or find somebody on Upwork. I would probably just go with the pay per minute intake service for that, because they are already going to have the staffing set up for it. They're going to have people, like layers of, people who are available to take the calls if like one person's on a call or something like that. And with, if you were to go to Upwork and put up a job and hire somebody to be your, temporary receptionist sort of person, they are, you would maybe have to pay them by the hour. It gets complicated if they're like not at their desk or they're taking a call or whatever. So there's a bunch of companies out there. I don't have any that I recommend specifically, but you can find those pretty easy. But I would just go pay per minute, and that way, you can buy 500 minutes or something and just kind of run out the clock. And then I would also get a Calendly, and the purpose of this is a meeting scheduling tool. And then you could either, theoretically put that on your website itself, but if you want to kind of make this clean and do it, kind of pipe people in to qualify them before they actually get to you to kind of preserve your time, then have the intake person do that. And then at the, make it clear that the call to action or the end product of that is you want to go ahead and get them to schedule something on your calendar. And so they'll be able to book those appointments through the calendar with the prospect, and they can get their email, they can get the phone number, and put all of that information in for them. And that way, you immediately get the notification that, that it's going to be, that the call is happening. You'll have all of that data and everything. And then they should be able to have, either you can get a very basic CRM, like you can get HubSpot for free, or, just like a basic intro plan, just to kind of keep any, where they can pipe in the contacts that they get, the leads that they get, and put them into that. Or I would just go with the spreadsheet, to be honest, at this rate, until you actually figure out what, if this is something that's going to scale. Lastly, you handle the proposal call. So you've got your appointment set up. They've basically qualified them. And then you want to be the person to come in and actually do the sales. And so that's the end product on that calendar. And, take it away. Hopefully you've got some sales skills and you can, knock those out. So hopefully that's helpful, and best of luck to you.